Condensed Bat-Supe in 60 seconds. If you're looking for a dynamic voice for your audio dramas, corporate narrations, ads, or even your on-hold announcements, AB Voices can bring your messages to life. Just listen.
I've heard that people love company mascots, so CAS Cable is proud to introduce, Mr. Sock Guy.
The story I'm about to tell you ain't quite the kind of story that the Hollywood columnists like to print, and it ain't the kind of yarn that press agents like to tell. The name's Mayo, by the way. Milo Mayo.
Hello, and thank you for calling about Rayovac's Power Challenge Guarantee.
Welcome to the Oakland County Fair, where lifetime memories are made.
And that's just a small sample. You'll get fully edited voiceovers that are ready to drag and drop into your presentation. Let's talk about your project. Drop an email to abvoices@gmail.com and we'll get started. AB Voices. Your message, your voice.
The following is transcribed.
Welcome to Condensed Bat-Supe. Now with 66% fewer superheroes than our regular podcast, which makes Condensed Bat-Supe even less nutritious, but still just as delicious. We're featuring episodes of The Adventures of Superman without the Caped Crusaders. Tie on your capes for lots of clock watching, plenty of exasperation, and close calls galore. In this edition of Condensed Bat-Supe, this portion of the Unity House story concludes with the next 3 chapters of the Hate Mongers Organization. We begin with Chapter 23, Race Against Death, as originally broadcast on May 16th, 1946.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, as Jimmy Olsen's urgent note to Clark Kent rests crumpled and unheeded in the home of the organ grinder, the young reporter himself seems destined to become the next victim of Frank Hill and his gang of hate mongers.
Hello there, gang. This is your pal Dan McCullough. Say, have you heard the neatest trick of the week? It's Kellogg's Pep Dish of the Week, a Pep Strawberry Flip. And is it a neat trick for breakfast? Now, here's how it goes. You top your regular serving of Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, with plump, juicy strawberries. Then take your spoon and very carefully now give the whole thing a neat flip so that the berries nestle down among those golden toasted flakes of whole wheat. Add milk and sugar, and then see for yourself how that tender crispness and sunshine flavor can rise and shine. Kellogg's Pep sure does things for your appetite, no matter how it's served. Makes you want to eat the hearty sort of breakfast everybody needs. And you know, Pep has loads of nourishment to offer on its own. Solid whole wheat nutrition plus. So dig in, gang. Get all the good eating in your breakfast bowl of Kellogg's Pep. Don't leave one single tender, crisp flake. Because it's the wrong idea to waste cereal, particularly these days when the cereal grains are being sent to fellas and girls all over the world. Keep that in mind when Mom brings Kellogg's Pep home from the grocer's. Don't waste it. If you pour your own Pep, pour it carefully and polish off every bit you pour out. Pass the word along to the rest of your family, too. Always make sure to eat all your Pep. Don't waste it.
And now, the adventures of Superman. When Jimmy Olsen, cub reporter for the Daily Planet, masqueraded as a young hoodlum and gained admittance to the headquarters of a subversive hate-mongering organization calling itself the Guardians of America, it was part of a plan devised by Clark Kent, a plan to learn the identity of the organization's leader and bring him to justice for his vicious attempts to stir up racial and religious hatred. However, in learning the man's identity, a cold-blooded fanatic named Frank Hill, Jimmy was engineered into a trap and at the moment is in danger of losing his life. Bound and gagged and half-conscious from the beatings he has received, he is being driven to the Metropolis Bridge, where it is planned to drop him into the dark river hundreds of feet below. Meanwhile, Kent, as Superman, has searched the city for Jimmy, and now, once more in his guise of the mild-mannered reporter, is sweating it out with Editor Perry White in the latter's office at the Daily Planet. Standing at the window, peering down into the darkened street, he stiffens as the bell in the Metropolis Insurance Building strikes the hour.
9 o'clock. It's been gone almost 5 hours.
How much longer are you going to wait before calling the police? For all you know, he may be dead by now.
That's a pleasant thought.
Well, it wasn't meant to be pleasant. You're responsible for that boy, Kent.
I know.
You sent him into that rat's nest of killers against my better judgment.
All right.
Remember my telling you...
I remember, Chief. I remember everything. What's that got to do with it? The important thing is that Jimmy's missing and we don't know where he is.
Then why don't you do something about it instead of beating your chest and tearing out your hair?
I've done all I can. I've checked every possible place he might have been. Their hideout, the pool room, his mother's house, my apartment, even police headquarters.
When did you do all this?
When I left you an hour or so ago.
Well, you were only gone a matter of 20 minutes. What'd you do, sprout wings?
I suppose you could call it that.
Ah, you're crazy. I've heard enough of this talk. If you won't call the police, I will.
No, wait.
I'm all through waiting.
But it might ruin everything. Jimmy may be all right. Anyway, the police can't do any more than I've already done.
No. Who do you think you are, Superman?
I don't think I know.
What's that?
Nothing. Hang up, Chief. Will you wait? Wait another 15 minutes.
Okay. 15 minutes, but no more.
Better take a look at him, Carl. See if he is all right.
Who cares?
Take a look.
Okay. Going the ride, Olsen? He doesn't answer. I think he's got something in his mouth.
Too tight, that gag, too tight.
So what?
Hill wants it to look like he drowned. We are supposed to take the ropes and the gag off him before we toss him over, in case the tide does not carry him out as they pick up his body.
He's still alive. I can hear him breathing. Oh, turn right here and take the causeway. It's shorter.
How long do you figure it will take us to get to the bridge?
15 minutes. No more.
Roaring into the darkness, the black sedan carrying Jimmy Olsen to his death heads for the Metropolis Bridge, 15 minutes away. The same 15 minutes Clark Kent and Perry White have agreed to wait before calling in the police. Meanwhile, far across the city, in what passes for the parlor of a poorly furnished three-room apartment deep in the slums, the one person who has it within her power to save Jimmy's life is seated in a chair mending the pocket of her father's coat. She is Maria, the daughter of the organ grinder, to whom Jimmy dropped a message when he was locked in a room of Frank Hill's penthouse headquarters. A message the old Italian could not read. And now, as the car carrying Jimmy draws closer and closer to the bridge, the message itself on a tiny scrap of paper is crumpled in an ashtray at Maria's elbow, discarded after she had found it in her father's pocket. From the kitchen of the flat, a cheap alarm clock ticks the time away, time that is so precious to Jimmy. Finally, the mending job is finished. Putting the coat aside, Maria happens to glance at the ashtray. Something impels her to reach for the scrap of paper, unfold it, and read the message again, her lips shaping the penciled words softly.
Please take this to Clark Kent at the Daily Planet newspaper. He will give you $1. Dear Mr. Kent, they have locked me in a room at 250 Willow Drive. They are going to throw me off the Metropolis Bridge as soon as it gets dark. Please come and bring help. Jimmy.
Puzzled, Maria looks up. Her father is fast asleep on a threadbare couch at the far end of the room. Rising, she crosses to the couch and shakes him gently.
Papa. Wake up, Papa.
What's the matter?
Papa, look.
Yeah, what, carissimo?
This piece of paper, Papa. I found it in your pocket.
Madre de Dios, for this you waking me up.
It's got some writing on it. It says to take it to a man on a newspaper.
Oh, yeah? Is that so funny?
Where'd you get it, Papa?
It's a wrap around the two bits the fellas a drop from a window.
Where?
Well, I forget, a big apartment house.
On Willow Drive, maybe?
Yeah, that's it, the Willow Drive.
A man dropped it from a window?
Yeah, with the two bits. Hey, what does she say, the paper?
It says he needs help. He's locked in a room and they're going to throw him off the bridge.
Hey, what's that? Are you sure?
That's what it says. I'm going to go downstairs.
What for?
I'm going to call this man Clark Kent and tell him. I'll be right back.
Being left to the next corner, pretty close to the bridge now. You can see the light.
Yes, I see that.
I sure will be glad to get this job over with.
Well, it will not be long now.
5 more minutes, Kent.
I'll take your word for it, Chief. You don't have to announce it minute by minute.
You know, Kent, sometimes I think you're a fool, and sometimes I think you're a genius.
All right.
Here you are, eating your heart out because Jimmy Olsen's missing. Instead of doing something about it, you wait.
That may be Jim. Hello.
I'd like to talk to Mr. Clark Kent.
This is Clark Kent speaking.
Oh, my name is Maria D'Angelo. My father came home with a piece of...
Hello? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Can you talk louder, please?
I said my name is Maria D'Angelo.
Yes?
What is it, Kent?
I don't know yet. Yes, go ahead.
My father's an organ grinder. You know, with a monkey.
Yes?
He came home from work a couple of hours ago with a piece of paper that had a message on it.
A message?
Yes, it has your name on it. It's from someone named Jimmy.
Jimmy. Good Lord.
Kent, what is it?
Wait, Chief, please. What does the message say, miss?
Do you want me to read it to you?
Yes, please.
It says, please take this to Clark Kent at the Daily Planet newspaper. He will give you $1. Then it says, dear Mr. Kent, they have me locked in a room at 250...
All right. Slow down now. We're almost at the center of the bridge.
Not much traffic, is there?
That suits me fine. Pull over to the right, close to the railing. Okay, this is far enough. Hold up.
Yeah.
Give the motor.
How does it look?
All right. I'll get out and you open the trunk and play around with the tools while you cut the ropes on his arms and legs. Leave the gag on till we're ready to toss him over.
Okay.
Make it fast, Eric.
Right.
We've got to get rid of him and be out of here in 60 seconds.
60 seconds, one solitary minute. Can anything save Jimmy now? We'll be back in just a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So keep listening.
Say, you know what's a real catchy eye-opener when you come down to breakfast first thing in the morning? A bowl of Kellogg's Pep. Yes, sir. These crispy golden toasted flakes of whole wheat sure do give the go-ahead signal to your appetite every time. They're crisp, they're tender, they're full up with snappy sunshine flavor. They're delicate flakes of Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine cereal. Good for you, too. Sure, your mom knows that. Because Pep brings you that famous whole wheat nutrition and more. Just show me a fellow or girl who can resist the proper solid sort of breakfast when Kellogg's Pep heads the menu. Why, every single spoonful is a rare treat in itself. Every crunchy flake is so terrific that, well, you want to polish off every last bit in your bowl. And you know, that's mighty important nowadays, because the cereal grains, like the whole wheat in Kellogg's Pep, have been picked out to send to fellows and girls overseas. So, gang, this is not the time to waste cereal. When Mom brings Kellogg's Pep home from the grocer's, make sure there's no waste at your house. If you pour your own Pep, pour it carefully, and eat up every bit you pour out. And say, pass the word along to your younger brothers and sisters, too. Get hep to Pep, gang. Eat all your Pep. Don't waste it.
Parked at the center of the huge span of the Metropolis Bridge, Frank Hill's two henchmen, Carl and Eric, prepare to perform the last horrible act in their drama of murder, dropping Jimmy's half-conscious body into the dark, swirling river hundreds of feet below. Meanwhile, in Perry White's office at the Daily Planet, Clark Kent is still on the phone with Maria D'Angelo, the organ grinder's daughter.
Yes, I've got that. Go on, miss.
Then it says they are going to throw me off the Metropolis Bridge as soon as it gets dark.
Great Scott.
Kent, what is it?
Do you want me to read the rest?
No, that's enough. Thank you.
Now, look here, Kent.
Don't bother me now, Chief. I've got to go.
Oh, no, you don't. You come back here.
Let go of my arm.
You're not leaving this office until you tell me...
Let go of my arm, I said.
I don't care what you said. Once and for all,
I'm going to have to do something drastic, something I don't want to do.
You can do anything you want, except...
All right, here goes. Ooh.
The coast is clear. Get him out of the car. Rip the gag off. Don't bother untying it, rip it.
Get this off.
Okay. Now, up and over with him.
In the shadowed darkness, the two men raised the almost inert body of Jimmy Olsen above the railing, while almost at the same moment at the other end of the city, Clark Kent strips off the clothes of the mild-mannered reporter and emerges in the red cape and blue costume of Superman. But can even he reach the bridge in time? Gang, no matter what happens, don't miss tomorrow's thrill-packed episode. Tune in, same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal. Lots of you kids have dogs. And I'll bet one of the things they enjoy most is a tug of war. Dogs seem to get such a kick out of using their strong teeth and muscles. Now, if you want to help keep your dog strong and husky, feed him Kellogg's Grow Pup dog food. It's just wonderful for dogs and has a good meaty flavor dogs like. There are 3 different kinds. There's Grow Pup Ribbon, Grow Pup Meal, and Grow Pup Pellets. Ask your mother to get Kellogg's Grow Pup today and see if your dog doesn't gobble it right up. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
And now, faster than a speeding bullet, Condensed Bat-Supe proudly presents Chapter 24 of the Hate Mongers Organization storyline, as originally broadcast on May 17th, 1946.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, present
The Adventures of Superman. Today, as the malevolent followers of Frank Hill smile in their anticipated triumph over Jimmy Olsen, one hope for the young reporter remains, and that hope springs from the Man of Steel.
Say, gang, sitting down at the breakfast table may be a sort of ordinary thing that you do every day in the week. But there's nothing ordinary about breakfast if you're hitching up your chair to golden bowls of Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal. Why, that sunny golden toasted flavor is enough to lift Pep right out of the ordinary class. It's so full and smooth and delicate. Not to mention Pep's tender crispness and the way your appetite seems to wake up smiling at your first spoonful of those crunchy whole wheat flakes. Yes, sir, when you want a regular sort of treat for breakfast, latch on to Kellogg's Pep. There's come on in every bite. And you know, Pep is good for you, too. Brings you solid whole wheat nourishment plus. So keep on the sunbeam, gang. Polish off that breakfast bowl of Kellogg's Pep clean as a whistle, because you don't want to waste cereal. You see, the cereal grains, like the whole wheat and Pep, have been picked out to give that swell grain nourishment to fellows and girls all around the world. Remember that when Mom brings Kellogg's Pep home from the grocer's. Don't waste it. If you pour your own Pep, take time to pour it carefully. And say, kind of keep an eye on your younger brothers and sisters, too. That's so easy to do and so important nowadays. Remember, eat all your Pep. Don't waste it.
Now, the adventures of Superman. Caught in a trap set for him by Frank Hill, the vicious hate-mongering leader of an organization calling itself the Guardians of America, young Jimmy Olsen, who had learned enough to send Hill and his poison-spreading henchmen to jail for life, was condemned to die. Bound hand and foot and gagged almost to the point of suffocation, the Daily Planet cub reporter was driven to the center of the huge Metropolis Bridge by 2 of Hill's henchmen, who, under cover of darkness, planned to drop him into the dark, swirling waters of the river below. Meanwhile, with Jimmy's life hanging by the slender thread of a few seconds, Clark Kent at the Daily Planet received a telephone call from a young Italian girl, the daughter of the organ grinder to whom Jimmy had dropped an urgent message when he was a prisoner at Hill's headquarters. Forced to knock out Editor Perry White in order to quickly assume his true identity and go to Jimmy's rescue, Kent leaped from the open window and in the brilliant red cape and blue costume of Superman, streaked through the darkness toward the Metropolis Bridge, where, as we join them now, Carl and Eric, Hill's two murderous underlings, are about to silence Jimmy forever. His half-conscious body has been dragged from the rear seat of their parked car, and they are carrying it to the low bridge railing.
Good thing he does not weigh much. I would hate to have to handle a 200-pounder this way.
You're not kidding. All right, this is far enough. Now, just lift him up and toss him over the railing.
You know, Carl, I think Hill made a mistake telling us to take the ropes and gag off him.
Why?
What if he can swim?
Are you kidding? He's half dead now.
I know, but he might revive when he hits the water.
Don't worry. It's a 200-foot drop. He'll hit it so hard his back will break. Come. We're wasting time. Up with him.
Yeah.
What's the matter?
Come on, Chip. He kicked me in the stomach. He must be in
trouble crossing little rat.
Oh, help! Help!
Take him, Eric. I got his arms. Keep your hand over his mouth. I'll lift him up.
Carl, there's the car coming.
He can't stop now. We got to get him over. Help me.
He's holding on to the railing.
Push him over. Push hard. That's it. A little more. There he goes.
Fighting a desperate last-minute battle to save himself from being thrown off the bridge, Jimmy is no match for the two grown killers. With his clutching fingers finally torn from the island railing, he plunges down through the darkness, his body twisting and turning like a sawdust doll, his arms flailing the air helplessly. Down, down he plummets, down towards certain death in the angry, rushing tide water of the Black River. Meanwhile, less than a mile away now, calling on every last bit of strength in his powerful muscles, Superman cleaves the darkness like a shaft of scarlet light. Suddenly, his amazing vision picks up the turning, twisting body plummeting down toward the river.
Great Scott, it's Jimmy. I'm too late. I can't make it. No, I've got to make it. I've got to. Faster! Faster!
Arms outstretched, the man of steel dives for the surface of the river almost like a bird of prey, draining his vast supply of energy for a final desperate effort. Like a rocket blessed with the speed of light, he streaks under the arched span of the bridge as Jimmy's body, limp and formless now, reaches a point a few scant feet above the river. Hands extended and fingers spread wide, Superman exerts a last heartbreaking burst of incredible speed. His chest swims the swirling surface of the tide-swept water as he arches his great body, forces his hands out almost beyond their normal reach, and catches the doomed boy a split second before he strikes the river.
Got him. Now, up! Up! It's all right, Jim. Everything's all right now. Poor kitty passed out. Easy, boy, easy.
Help.
You don't need help anymore, Jim. Everything's all right.
Where am I?
Flying over Metropolis.
I'm dead. I'm going to heaven.
Oh, no. Not quite yet, Jim.
Then Superman. It's you.
Who else do you know who can fly without an airplane?
I thought maybe you were an angel, and Bleeps, you saved my life. They threw me off the bridge.
Let's not talk about that now. We have work to do. What did you learn at the Guardian's headquarters, Jim? Evidently enough to force them to get rid of you.
I learned everything. The head guy's name is Frank Hill.
Frank Hill?
He's got sort of dirty blonde hair and little pale blue eyes. And his fingers are long and thin and white like milk snakes.
That's not a very pretty description.
He's not a very pretty guy.
Well, he'll be a lot less pretty when I get through with him.
You going to grab him now?
He's anywhere within reach. He wasn't at the penthouse apartment an hour ago.
Gosh, were you there?
Yes, there and a lot of other places looking for you. You had us all worried. Uh-oh, there's Willow Drive below us, Jim. Suppose we drop down and see whether Mr. Hill is at home and ready to receive visitors.
Okay by me.
Okay, hold on. Down we go. Down! Quietly, Jim. Don't trip over anything. There are some potted plants on this terrace.
I'm watching. Are you sure he's home?
Yes. And so are the two characters who dropped you off the bridge.
Where? They're going to be surprised.
Before that, they're going to be frightened.
Frightened?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
I'll show you. Easy now. Go through this door if it's unlocked.
You could go through it locked.
Too noisy. Good. It's open. Go ahead, Jim.
Inside?
Yes. Keep your voice down.
Boy, sure is dark in here.
They're close to me. Here, take my hand.
Okay. Now where are we going?
They're all in what I suppose is Hill's office next to the foyer.
Has it got a black velvet curtain stretched across one end of the room?
Yes.
That's it. That's the curtain he stands behind when he talks to people.
Watch it. I'm going to open another door to the hall.
There's a light out there.
I know. Come on. Hear their voices?
Yeah. That door at the end of the hall, just before you get to the foyer, leads into Hill's office.
So I see.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting about your X-ray vision.
Wait a minute. Careful now. I don't want them to hear us. Better hold up.
What are we going to do?
Frighten them first and pounce on them later.
Well, how can we frighten them?
You can. They think you're dead floating down the river. People like that, narrow-minded, bigoted, hateful people, are usually superstitious. Ignorance and superstition go hand in hand. Anyone who believes as they do that men should be judged by the way they worship God is as ignorant as a jungle savage.
You mean you want him to think I'm a ghost?
That's the idea, Jim. I'll open the door and you just stand there, blank-eyed.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here goes.
Flinging open the door to Frank Hill's office, Superman steps aside, and Jimmy advances to the threshold, arms dangling and eyes staring blankly into the room. We'll be back in a moment for the amazing and surprising climax to today's episode. So keep listening.
Say, gang, have you tried it yet? Have you sampled that smooth combination? I mean, have you had a Pep Strawberry Flip, this week's Pep Dish of the Week? It's regular, gang, as terrific a breakfast dish as you'd ever want to taste. And it's made with a flip of the wrist. Sure, you just pour out your regular serving of Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine cereal. Put some fine, ripe strawberries on top. Then take your spoon, and now, look, very carefully, give the whole thing a neat flip so that the berries are scattered all through the toasty whole wheat flakes. Add milk and sugar, and there you are, a Pep Strawberry Flip. It's a dish that gives your appetite a lift because those crispy flakes of Kellogg's Pep are something to latch onto. They're so tender and golden and full of that keen sunshine flavor. Yes, sir, a dish of Kellogg's Pep adds up to mighty good eating. And Pep is good for you, too. So make it a point to eat every last spoonful in your bowl because this is no time to waste cereal. You see, the cereal grains have been picked out to give that swell grain nourishment to fellows and girls overseas. So when Mom brings Kellogg's Pep home from the grocer's, make it your job to guard against waste. If you pour your own Pep, pour it carefully and polish off every bit you pour out. Be sure to eat all your Pep. Don't waste it.
Playing on what he is certain is their superstitious ignorance, Superman has decided to teach Frank Hill and his two henchmen the meaning of fear before turning them over to the police. Jimmy, who they believe is by now a corpse in the river, steps to the threshold of Hill's office as Superman opens the door and backs out of sight. For a long, ghastly moment, the three men in the room stare at the figure in the doorway, at its dangling arms and blank, seemingly sightless eyes. Then, as terror grips them, one of them, the man known as Carl, screams out.
The ghost of that kid?
Walk into the room, Jim.
Coming for us.
Slowly.
Oh, he's coming for us. Keep him away. Stop it. Stop it, you fools.
My gun. Where's my gun?
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Get him.
Stand back. I've got the gun. I'll kill him.
Over my dead body, Mr. Hill. Get behind me, Jimmy.
Who are you?
I'll show you who I am in just a moment with my bare hands.
Stay where you are. Don't come any closer.
Put that gun down.
I'll shoot.
Put it down, I said.
Firing point blank at the advancing figure of Superman, Frank Hill, the breeder of hate, attempts to add murder to his list of crimes, unaware that the Man of Steel has impenetrable skin that cannot be pierced by a bullet. But wait, something seems to have happened. Superman is groaning in pain and clutching at his stomach. Superman is staggering. What has happened? Is it possible that one of the screaming bullets from Hill's gun has found a vulnerable spot on Superman's body? Is there such a spot, like Achilles' heel? Gang, whatever you do and wherever you are, don't miss Monday's episode. And tell all your friends not to miss it either. Make sure to be glued to your radio Monday at this same time over this same station for the most startling surprise you have ever had. Don't miss it.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, The Adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal. Say, if you want your dog to tag right along with the gang, if you want him to be strong and husky, don't let him eat just to fill up. Mix his scraps of meat and fat in with Kellogg's Grow Pup dog food. Then just see if you don't get congratulations on what a fine dog you have. Grow Pup has what it takes to help keep a dog hitting on all fours, and it's full of swell, meaty flavor dogs like. Besides, there are 3 different kinds of Grow Pup. Grow Pup Ribbon, Grow Pup Meal, and Grow Pup Pellets. Ask Mother to start feeding your dog Kellogg's Grow Pup today. And be sure to be with us on Monday for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
It's truth and justice for the win, fellows and girls, as it all comes down to this. The final chapter of the Hate Mongers Organization storyline, as originally broadcast on May 20th, 1946.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, a big surprise awaits the hate monger, Frank Hill, as he attempts to escape from justice and the Man of Steel with a blazing gun.
Hello there, gang. This is your pal, Dan McCullough. Say, how would you like your appetite to wake up smiling in the morning, same as you do? Well, here's how. Just tuck this thought in the back of your head for a quick reference. You're going to have a bowl of crisp, golden toasted Kellogg's Pep for breakfast. Yes, sir, Pep is called the Sunshine Cereal. It's so sunny and golden, what gives your appetite the old come-on every time. Each tender whole wheat flake is a treat to look at. Crunchy and toasty, really terrific. And talk about flavor. Kellogg's Pep is loaded with smooth, sunshine flavor. No kidding, gang. Pep is just about the most delicious dish you'd ever want to taste. Good for you, too. Sure, your mom knows that. So keep on the sunbeam. Eat up every single spoonful of Kellogg's Pep in your bowl. Keep in mind that nowadays the cereal grains are being sent to fellows and girls all over the world. So you wouldn't want to waste Pep. When Mom brings Kellogg's Pep home from the grocer's, make yourself a committee of one to help guard against waste. If you pour your own Pep, pour it carefully and polish off every bit you pour out. Pass the word along to the rest of your family, too. Remember, eat all your Pep. Don't waste it.
And now, the adventures of Superman. Saved from certain death in the dark, tide-swept waters of the Metropolis River, young Jimmy Olsen and his rescuer, Superman, hurried to the penthouse headquarters of the so-called Guardians of America, the subversive, hate-mongering organization responsible for the attempt on Jimmy's life, as well as a dozen other acts of violence. Bursting into a room where Frank Hill, leader of the organization, was conferring with Carl and Eric, 2 of his henchmen, Superman demanded their surrender. But Hill, unaware that he was faced by the Man of Steel, pulled a gun and fired 3 shots point blank. Expecting the bullets to bounce off Superman's impenetrable skin, Jimmy was unconcerned when the shots rang out. But then, suddenly, something startling happened. Superman moaned in pain, clutched at his stomach, and swayed unsteadily on his feet. Stunned, Jimmy was speechless. Not Frank Hill. Quickly, he barked an order.
Carl! Eric, he's hit! Grab him!
Not so fast, gentlemen. Let's see what happens when I knock your thick heads together like this.
Oh! Good heavens.
My, they sound hollow, don't they, Jim?
Superman, are you all right?
I'm fine, but these 2 specimens are out cold. Now, Mr. Hill, it's your turn.
Stand back. You can't fool me. You were hit.
Quite right. 2 of the bullets struck me in the chest and the third in the stomach, but they bounced off.
I heard you moan. I saw you stagger and grab for your stomach.
Just a little act to draw off your 2 boyfriends. I was afraid if I went for you, they might go for Jimmy. Evidently, you don't know who I am.
I don't care who you are. You're not leaving this room alive.
Come again, Mr. Hill. And that, I believe, empties your gun. Yes, empty it is.
Incredible. Impossible.
Maybe you can figure it out while you're cooling your heels in jail.
No, you're not going to get me in jail. You've got nothing on me.
We've got everything on you, Hill. Everything, including the kitchen sink. Attempted murder, assault, arson, impairing the morals of minors, enough to send you behind bars for life. And on top of all that, we've got a little personal grudge to settle with you. We don't like people who push other people around. We don't like people who spread hatred and suspicion.
I was only trying to protect America from foreigners.
Go on. You know America was founded by what you call foreigners.
Right, Jim. Tell me, Hill, was it because you were trying to protect America that you told Muggs and his gang to set fire to Dave Hoffman's drugstore?
Hoffman's a Jew. The Jews are trying to run the world.
Hoffman's an American, regardless of his religious preference. Besides, as I recall, that was one of Herr Hitler's favorite lines. What about little Danny O'Neill? He's Catholic and comes of Irish parents, yet you had him beaten to within an inch of his life.
That's a lie. I had nothing to do with it.
Of course not. Rats like you get others to do their dirty work. What about Dr. Leeds, a good Protestant minister? You almost succeeded in killing him. Is he a foreigner?
You forgot Rabbi Stone.
Yes, born and brought up in America, an honest student at college. Is he a foreigner?
I'm not talking.
You don't have to talk, Hill. The things you've done and the things you've tried to do speak for themselves. Jim, use that phone on the desk and call Inspector Henderson. Tell him to send a patrol wagon up for these fine specimens.
Right, Superman.
In the meantime, open that safe for me, Hill. Chances are it contains some interesting documents concerning your activities.
I don't know the combination.
That's a lie. Open it before I break you in two.
Inspector Henderson, please.
Tell you I don't know the combination.
Would you like me to rip the door off?
You have no right to touch
Inspector,
that.
Is that...
This is Jimmy Olsen. Yeah, I'm okay.
Hold it. Better let me talk to him, Jim.
Just a minute, Inspector. Superman wants to talk to you.
Thanks, Jim. Hello, Inspector. Oh, I'm fine, thanks. Jimmy and I are at the headquarters of that Guardians of America outfit. We've collared 3 of them, including the big shot.
Superman, Hill's trying to get away.
Hold it, Inspector. No, you don't, Hill.
Let go of me.
I'll let go with this. There.
Jeepers, you knocked him cold.
Unfortunately, he'll live. Hello, Inspector. Sorry for the interruption. No, nothing important. Frank Hill, the leader of this rat's nest, decided he wanted to take a nap, and I had to rock him to sleep. Yes, now they're all asleep. I suggest you get a patrol wagon over here as soon as you can. The number is 250 Willow Drive, the penthouse apartment. What's that? Oh, you did? Oh, well, fine. Yes, we'll be here. Right. So long. Well, Jim, he rounded up the gang at the pool room. He's got them all at headquarters.
Well, Muggs, too?
Uh-huh. Now, suppose you and I take a look at that safe while we're waiting.
Oh, how are you going to get it open?
One guess.
Oh, boy, I don't want to miss this.
It isn't much of a safe. It's more like a sardine can. Well, here goes. That door should rip off its hinges pretty easily.
Jeepers. You tore it open like a paper bag.
And there's a lot more in it than you'll ever find in a paper bag. Look at those stacks of money.
Must be $1 million there.
Not quite, but there's enough. Now, let's see what's in this brown manila envelope. This looks interesting.
More money?
No. No, it's papers of some kind.
Anything interesting?
I don't know yet. We'll find out in a minute. Here, hold the envelope, will you, Jim?
Okay.
Now, let's see what we have here. Great Scott.
Oh, what is it?
Jim, we've stumbled on something amazing. Call Inspector Anderson back while I look through this stuff. Tell him to have all the kids in that pool room gang in his office. I want them all on hand when we bring Frank Hill in. I've got something to tell them and something to show them.
What has Superman found in the manila envelope? We'll be back in a moment to find out and to learn a startling thing about Frank Hill. So keep listening.
Say, gang, what's your favorite word for describing something that you think is pretty swell? Do you say neat, keen, super terrific? Well, line up a whole bunch of those words, gang. You'll need them to describe this week's Pep Dish of the Week. It's called a Pep Jamboree, and here's how it goes. You pour out your regular serving of Kellogg's Pep the Sunshine cereal and top it all over with mixed fruit cocktail and a little of the sweet syrup. Pour on milk, and you have a pep jamboree, colorful to look at, terrific to taste. Believe me, you'll have a jamboree with that dish, where those crunchy golden toasted flakes of Kellogg's Pep are so good you can't miss. Before you know it, you'll polish off every tasty spoonful in your bowl. And nothing could be smarter, especially nowadays, when we don't want to waste cereal. Because whole wheat is one of the cereal grains picked out to go to fellas and girls all over the world. So get hep to pep, gang. When Mom brings Kellogg's Pep home from the grocer's, make sure it's not wasted. Handle with care is the idea if you pour your own cereal, and eat up every bit you pour out. Just remember, eat all your pep. Don't waste it.
Our scene is now Inspector Henderson's office at police headquarters. Crowded into the room are the 10 boys who were members of the juvenile gang working for the Guardians of America. Frank Hill and his 2 henchmen, recovered from the Superman sleep treatment. Henderson and 3 of his police captains, Jimmy Olsen and Superman himself. Standing at one end of the room, holding some papers in his hand, Superman begins talking.
Muggs, I want you to step forward. Since you were the leader of this gang, you can speak for all of them. Come on. All right. That man standing over there, Muggs, the man who calls himself Frank Hill, he was the one who gave you your orders, wasn't he?
I don't know.
You never saw him because he talked to you from behind a curtain, but you heard him speak. Now, you just heard his voice again. Do you recognize it?
I don't know.
All right. We'll tackle it another way. Have you any brothers, Muggs?
Yeah, 1.
How old is your brother?
26.
Was he in the Army during the war?
No, in the Navy.
Where is he now?
He's in a hospital. He lost a leg.
I see. Any of you other boys have brothers or fathers in the Army or Navy? Raise your hands if you did. You in the green shirt.
My father got killed in the Army.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, the rest of you put your hands down. We've got enough. The only reason I asked you whether you had brothers or fathers fighting in the war was to prove something to you. These papers I'm holding in my hand were taken out of the safe in Frank Hill's office. One of them shows that Hill was a draft dodger. That while your brothers and fathers were being killed and wounded, he stayed behind and lived off the fat of the land. And you know what he was doing all during the war? He was a German spy. In fact, his name isn't even Frank Hill. His real name is Franz Hiller. And that's the man who told you he was trying to protect America. The man who organized the Guardians of America. The man who tried to stop decent Americans like Dave Hoffman and Dr. Leeds and Father Sheehan and Rabbi Stone from doing something for America. Franz Hiller, who tried to double-cross America while your brother, Muggs, was losing his leg fighting for America.
That dirty rat, I ought to kill him.
You don't have to worry about him now. The America he told you he was guarding will take care of him and see to it that he does no more harm. But remember this as long as you live. Whenever you meet up with anyone who is trying to cause trouble between people, anyone who tries to tell you that a man can't be a good American because he's a Catholic or a Jew, a Protestant or whatever, you can be pretty sure he's a rotten American himself. Not only a rotten American, but a rotten human being. Don't ever forget that.
Honest, Miss Lane, it would have done you a heart good to hear Superman tell those kids a thing or two. I thought they were going to tear that guy Hiller into 100 pieces. And you know what?
What, Jim?
After they took Hiller out of Inspector Henderson's office, Muggs made a speech to the kids and told them that to make up for all they'd done, they had to go out and raise money to help build Unity House. How do you like that?
Gee, that's fine, Jimmy. And I'm glad it's all over, but I really haven't time to listen anymore. I'm scheduled to make a speech at the opening rally for Henry Marshall tonight.
Oh, he's the district attorney, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He's running for mayor against Martin Higgins, and he's got to be elected, Jim. Higgins is a corrupt politician supported by the gangster interest.
Oh, can I go along with you?
Sure, all right. We better get going in a few minutes. We can stop off and have a bite somewhere.
All right.
Oh, excuse me, Jim.
Sure.
Lois Lane speaking.
Miss Lane?
Yes?
I'm just calling to tell you that if you don't want to get hurt, you'll stay away from that Marshall rally tonight.
What's that?
You heard what I said. Stay away from that Marshall rally or you'll get hurt and hurt bad.
An unidentified voice and a cryptic warning. Will Lois heed the warning, or will she attend the rally for Henry Marshall, the honest, gang-busting candidate for mayor of Metropolis? Fellows and girls, this is the beginning of a new Superman adventure. even more exciting than the one just concluded. So don't miss tomorrow's episode, when Lois and Jimmy find themselves involved with people who stop at nothing, not even murder. Tune in tomorrow, same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal. Hey, how about being a pal to your dog like he is to you? Sure, do him a good turn. Treat him to Kellogg's Grow Pup dog food. Why, it beats all how many dogs give Grow Pup the glad eye. It's so full of meaty flavor, and there are 3 different kinds to pick from. There's Grow Pup Ribbon, Grow Pup Meal, and Grow Pup Pellets. And you can give your dog the kind he likes best because they all have what it takes to help keep him right on the beam. For lots of muscle, for strong bones and teeth, ask Mother to base your dog's diet on Kellogg's Grow Pup every day. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
And now it's time for a Condensed Bat-Supe Extra Helping. Because what's a 3-course meal without a little dessert? We're pleased to present the only surviving episode from the short-lived mystery show, It's Murder, which starred Superman's own Lois Lane, Joan Alexander, as the niece of a criminologist who solved homicide cases. This is The Picture Wire Murder, as originally broadcast on August 10th, 1944.
It's Murder. It's Murder. Another exciting mystery drama presented by the National Safety Council in cooperation with the Blue Network. Tonight we follow the eminent retired actor and amateur criminologist Rex A. Starr as he and his niece, the Broadway columnist Joan Adams, go to an artist colony in Maine to spend a peaceful vacation and find that death is no respecter of peaceful ambitions. It is late morning of a clear July day, and we find Rex and Joan hurrying along the quaint and colorful main street of the tiny town.
Joan, I can't persuade you to give up this fantastic idea. You don't know the first thing about sketching.
I don't have to. I'm full of inspiration. Oh, here's Jonathan Bixby's art supply store. Let's get that sketching pad and pencils. Rex, before we go in, one favor?
2, if you'll forget you're a female Da Vinci.
Listen, if Jonathan gets off on his favorite subject, you know, he thinks all artists are bad. Don't argue with him. I don't want to lose a minute before getting to work.
Okay.
I feel genius pounding at my temples.
I hope it doesn't give you a headache.
Hello, Jonathan.
Oh, good morning, Miss Adams. Mr. Starr.
Good morning.
Nice to see you.
Perhaps you won't be when you learn what's just happened to my niece.
Huh?
Don't pay any attention, Jonathan. Uncle Rex just doesn't understand the impulse to create beauty.
Have you got it, Miss Adams?
Powerfully. All I need is a sketching pad and pencils.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Miss Adams. I got thinking of you as different from the strangers that have sullied this respectable town. Oh, I don't hate 'em, Mr. Starr. I feel sorry for 'em. Heading for perdition. Besides, I have to make a living.
Oh, thank goodness we've come around to that. Now about the sketching pad and pencils.
Yes, all right, Miss Adams. Oh, by the way, did you print that piece I give you for your column?
Oh, for pity's sake, Jonathan, I forgot all about it.
What piece, Joan?
Oh, just a bit of scandal that Jonathan picked up.
About what?
Here's the pad and pencils, Miss Adams.
Thank you, Jonathan. That's fine.
Dad! Dad!
Well, what's the matter, Annabelle?
Oh, something terrible's happened.
Well, stop crying and tell me.
I was walking along the beach, and I came to the part that thought was deserted, and I saw an easel standing there, so I walked over. And there on the beach, his face buried in the sand, was Mark Turner.
Mark Turner, the illustrator?
Yes, he's dead. He was murdered.
Well, there's the easel, and there's Mark Turner's body. Phew, I'm glad to be on flat ground again.
I wonder how Annabelle knew that Mark had been murdered, Rex.
There must have been some evidence. And there it is.
What?
This wire around his neck.
Oh, how awful.
Now, why should anybody want to kill Mark Turner? He minded his own business.
I don't know. Oh, but I do.
What do you mean you don't, but you do?
You remember Jonathan asking me about a piece that he gave me for my column?
Yes, what's that to do with a murder?
Everything, perhaps. I'll tell you about it, and you can draw your own conclusions. First, you know that Mark married Felice Morgan about 5 years ago.
Of course. Felice used to be his secretary,
That's
and
right.
she and Mark were incurably happy.
They weren't.
What?
According to Jonathan, Felice and Mark had been on the Alps for more than a year.
I don't believe it. They were two of the most loving lovebirds I've ever seen.
An act, my dear uncle, to protect Mark's pride.
Nonsense.
Actually, Felice was madly in love with Paul Bradford, the playwright.
Now, look here, Joan. I know Paul Bradford, too, and if anything like that had been going on, I'd have seen it.
Maybe, maybe not. At any rate, Jonathan's story goes like this. Felice wanted a divorce from Mark, so she could marry Paul.
I can't believe it.
Well, Mark would have none of it, naturally. And then Felice and Paul were furious, not to mention frustrated.
Where did Jonathan pick up that fabulous yarn?
Paul told him the other night.
Paul?
He came into Jonathan's store, drunk, and said he had to talk to somebody he could trust.
Somebody you could trust, eh?
That's beside the point, Rex. Mark's been murdered. What do we do about finding the murderer?
Well, I suppose I'll have to give that fable some credence. Come on, we'll climb back into town and have a talk with the writer. No sign of him, Joan?
No, I searched the whole cottage. Paul has flown the coop.
I was hoping it wouldn't be true.
What about the garage?
Car's gone. Everything points to a quick getaway.
By this time, he must be miles away.
I don't think so. Why did Paul kill Mark Turner?
To get Felice, Mark's wife. But I told you that story.
Would he run away without calling on the fair Felice? For whose hand he blooded his own?
Hey, you've got something there, Uncle.
I think I have.
What are we waiting for? Her cottage is just down the street. No answer, Rex. Let's open the door and rush them.
Yes, if they're still there.
One of them's here. Look.
Where?
Over there, by the window.
Good heavens, Billy. She's dead.
Rex, is that picture wire around her neck?
Yes.
Why should Paul kill Felice, too?
I don't know. Joan, here. Read this note in the typewriter.
See. To whom it may concern. What? This is really a bad typing job.
Worst I've ever seen. Obviously done by an amateur.
Rex, this is a suicide note.
So it seems.
And it tells the whole story. Felice strangled her husband, Mark Turner, with picture wire while he was doing an oil on the beach. She had to get rid of him so she could marry Paul Bradford. But when she told Paul what she'd done for him, the ingrate refused to have anything to do with her. Felice couldn't go on living, and so she killed herself in the same way she killed Mark. Well, this solves our case, Rex.
Not quite. There's some paintings on these walls that might fascinate you.
What kind?
A woman with her face cut off.
With her face? Are you kidding? Look at those paintings. Somebody's cut off all their faces.
That's what I said, remember?
But why would anybody want to do that?
I don't know. I'm going to have a look around the studio. I'd like to know who the woman in those paintings is.
How do you know it's the same woman?
Look, Joan. Is that a birthmark or a slip of a brush?
It's a birthmark, Rex. It's on each picture in the same place.
Ah.
Did you find something?
Only the answer, my dear. Here, this canvas is standing against the wall, evidently overlooked.
Has it got a painting on it?
Uh-huh. It's a picture of Annabelle.
Annabelle? Annabelle Bixby, Jonathan's daughter?
Correct, Joan. And that telltale birthmark hasn't moved an inch.
But I don't understand.
When we don't understand, Joan, we must look for an explanation.
Oh, where's Jonathan? I guess he must be in the back room of the store. I'll call him, Rex. Why?
Listen, there's light in the back room. Let's get closer.
There, Annabelle. Now, don't take it so hard. He wasn't your kind, anyway.
But I loved him, Dad. He loved me. I just know he did.
It would have come to no good, daughter.
How can you say that? Mark promised to marry me. He was going to divorce his wife. He was going to marry me.
You would
Get
lie
that,
to
Rex?
you, Annabelle.
Mark and Annabelle of all things.
We're going to write
He
a full
wasn't lying
column
to me.
for you.
He wasn't lying to me. Oh, Only yesterday he made me promise to wait for him till he got his divorce, and then he said we'd get married. We'd go to live in New York.
He was not aiming to get a divorce from his wife, and I can prove it. Paul Bradford told me all about it. Mrs. Turner wanted the divorce so she could marry Mr. Bradford, but Mr. Turner wouldn't give it to her out of spite.
That's not true, Dad.
So Mrs. Turner had to kill her husband to get rid of him. That's what happened, Annabelle.
Oh, Dad, you're not helping me at all.
Isn't she putting on a beautiful act, Rex?
Joan, we're going to the back room for the capture.
It'll be a pleasure. Imagine that, Annabelle, giving us a merry runaround.
Hello, Jonathan.
Oh, Mr. Starr, I didn't hear you come in. Annabelle and I was just having a little
It was touching enough to be a second act curtain. But the third act, I'm afraid, will have to be played in the sheriff's office.
The sheriff's office?
Yes, Jonathan, and before you take a bow, let me tell you your exit will be permanent.
Rex, will you sit still, please? Now, how can I sketch you if you keep fidgeting like a Mexican jumping bee?
When I'm restless, I fidget.
What are you so restless about?
Aren't you interested in knowing how I solved the mystery?
But you told me, Uncle Rex. Sit still. You told me that Jonathan was afraid that Mark was turning Annabelle's head. And then when he found out that Mark was using her as a model, Jonathan decided to save his daughter from that fate worse than death.
Your memory amazes me.
So, Jonathan followed Mark to the beach and strangled him. And then he went to Felice's cottage and... Rex, how did you know that Felice didn't commit suicide?
Because she didn't type that note. Remember how badly typed it was?
Yes.
Well, Felice was Mark's secretary before he married her.
And Paul Bradford is a writer and also an expert typist.
Exactly.
So it couldn't have been him or Felice.
You reason well, my dear.
But how did you know Annabelle wasn't the murderer? She had the motive.
Yes, but Jonathan gave himself away when he told Annabelle that Felice had to kill Mark in order to get rid of him.
But we thought that too now, didn't we?
Yes, but we were the only living people who read that fake suicide note. We and the picture wire murderer who wrote it.
Oh. Tricky, aren't you? All right, Rex. Let's get on with the sketch.
What do you expect to do with that masterpiece if you ever finish it?
Hang it up on the wall?
With picture wire, huh?
Mm. Why, Uncle Rex, you're horrid. You've just murdered the genius in me.
We invite you to join us again next week at this same time for another of our series, It's Murder. Tonight's story was written by Stedman Coles and directed by Stuart Buchanan. This is George Gunn speaking. This is the Blue Network.
That wraps up this episode of Condensed Bat-Supe, featuring the big finish of the Hate Mongers Organization from The Adventures of Superman. Thank you for listening. Be sure to tell your friends to subscribe to Bat-Supe on their favorite podcatcher. We can also be found on YouTube and Facebook. We'll see you next time for another exciting edition of Condensed Bat-Supe as we bring you the first 2 chapters of Al Vincent's Corrupt Political Machine, in which we'll find out if Lois goes through with her speech. And of course, we'll bring you another fine Bat-Supe extra helping. Until then, up and away!
I'm sure you don't have to be reminded that winter weather makes for bad driving and increases the chances of traffic accidents. The fact is that the accident rate in winter months goes up as much as 50%. And it's easy to figure out why snow and ice on the windshield cut down your visibility, icy streets and roads make skidding easy. So if you have to drive in bad weather, remember to take every precaution for your safety. Use chains on your tires. Keep your windshield free of steam and frost, and above all, drive slowly. It's easy to take chances, but it's just as easy to be careful, and every chance you take may mean the one accident that will lead to death or injury. The odds are against you if you drive carelessly in bad weather, and caution pays off in safety.